All righty, let's go ahead and call the February 28, 2023 City Council meeting to order. The clerk will take the roll.
Councilmember Morcomb.
Present.
Councilmember Ingridson.
Here.
Councilmember Olson.
Here.
Mayor Zabel.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, council members. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes we need to make? City Administrator Volkers, are we good?
I think you're good.
We're good. I will look for a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? And the agenda is adopted. Next up is the approval of minutes. First set is workshop from February 14th, 2023. Council members, any changes you need to make? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And those are adopted. Next up, we have the regular meeting minutes from February 14th, 2023. Council members, any changes? Nope. I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any conversation? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And those are approved as well. Next up, we have a public hearing for vacating a water main easement. Staff presentation.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Luke McClanahan, City Planner. So the location of this request, it's in the Willowbrook neighborhood, so just north of 40th Street. The purpose of this vacation request is to vacate a 20-foot wide water main easement through the Willowbrook area. It was originally platted by 3M back in 2016 with the intent to connect a water main from 40th Street to an existing stub at the Olson Lake Estates, 3rd Edition neighborhood. However, the water main was installed as part of the Helmo Avenue alignment project, so this is essentially a placeholder easement that's no longer needed. So vacating the easement would eliminate the encumbrance on this property. In reviewing this request, it does comply with the state statute. And if you also recall from the Willowbrook 8th subdivision plat, that one of the conditions of approval was to vacate this easement as well. So staff finds that this request, again, complies with state requirements and recommends approval. I know that this is a public hearing. I don't believe that the applicant was able to make it this evening, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Luke. Any questions from council for the city planner? No questions. Okay. I'm going to read my little script that they taped to my seat here. So we are required to hold a public hearing for this portion of the agenda. In a minute, I will open up the public hearing to comments from the audience. If anybody wishes to speak on this item, please feel free to step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and share your comments with the city council. As soon as everybody who's had a chance to speak does so, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. We'll bring it back up to the city council for discussion and possible action. Just a reminder, house rules apply on all public hearings. We ask everybody to treat one another with courtesy and respect. It is perfectly fine to not agree on all issues, but in this building, the golden rule applies. So, at this moment, I will go ahead and open the public hearing on vacating a water main easement to the public. Nobody? All right, seeing no speakers, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back up to the dais for council discussion. Council members, any thoughts? All righty, seeing none, I will look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to waive reading and adopt resolution 2023-24, approving the vacation of a water main easement as described in document number 406-9917 for the Office of the County Recorder, Washington County, Minnesota.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any final conversation? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that easement is vacated. Next up on the agenda is open forum. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come and share comments with the city council. Before I turn things over to the public, we have one item on our agenda, and it was a proclamation that we were able to issue. What was the date on there? February 18th. Some representatives from the City Council and the Oakdale Area Chamber of Commerce and the business community were on hand to celebrate to recognize Little Inspirations Child Care here in Oakdale on their 10th anniversary. So they have been in this community serving a lot of families for a very long time, and we were very honored to be on site, recognizing their role in this community as well as the positive impact they make on families. And it was my first proclamation as mayor, so that was kind of cool. Oh, there's some photos of it. So we had a great turnout. Yeah, it was a great time to be there. This is actually their second location that they've been operating here in Oakdale. They moved a few years ago. So they were here, they chose to stay here, which is great. So congratulations to Little Inspirations on their 10th anniversary. Up next is the consensus motions part of the agenda. Council members, are there any consensus motions you would like to remove for individual consideration? I am going to elect to remove item A. Council members, are there any others you would like to remove? No? I will look for a motion to approve B and C.
Well, just point of order, did we miss the rest of the open forum?
You are absolutely right. I
Okay.
sure did.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Morcomb. Open forum. So if there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the city council on any topic on your mind, please feel free to step up to the podium, share your name and address and your thoughts.
Hi, my name is Becca Lee, and I'm a member of Troop 57875 at Girl Scouts, and I am a junior Girl Scout, and I'm selling cookies here in Oakdale.
Welcome, Becca.
Mayor, I know we're not supposed to ask questions normally, but can I ask one?
Oh, if you must.
Do you have any caramel delights? If you wait till the end of the meeting, I'll buy some. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, any other comments for open forum? All right, now we will move on to consensus motions. Thank you, Councilmember Morcomb, for reminding me. I'm going to remove A. Does anybody want to take a crack at B or C, or I will look for a motion to approve B
I'll
and
make
C?
a motion to waive reading and approve consensus motions B and C as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, and B and C are approved. I am requesting to remove consensus motion A. I want to talk about this one for a little bit. So for anybody watching, this item on the agenda, I don't know if we can pull up the motions or not, but is a cooperative agreement between Washington County and the city of Oakdale for some trail and sidewalk improvements as part of the Gold Line BRT. This is, the reason I am pulling this is to express my dissatisfaction and my opposition to this request to have the city of Oakdale provide funding for improvements that I feel are only being proposed as part of this bus rapid transit line. In my time here, you know, the prevailing thought has always been that, you know, the city of Oakdale and by way of the city, our taxpayers would not be responsible for funding associated with this project unless it was something that the city felt very strongly needed to be included in the project. And the simple fact in my mind is that these trails are required by this project and our Federal Transit Authority application or the county's application. Therefore, there should not be a cost share responsible to the city of Oakdale. So I will be voting no. I understand if this moves forward, but from a philosophical perspective, I don't think this is a cost that our residents should have to share in. So if any of my colleagues want to share thoughts, please feel free. Otherwise, somebody can make a motion if they like.
I'll make a motion to approve consensus motion A as presented.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, final conversation. Anybody? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. And that is approved. Next up, advisory boards and commissions. Economic Development Commission, the council liaison is Councilmember Olson. They did not meet. Environmental Management Commission, that I am the liaison for, they did not meet. Planning Commission, Councilmember Ingebrigtsen's their liaison. They did not meet. Parks and Rec, they did meet. Councilmember Morcomb, you're the liaison to that group.
Yeah, I was able to attend their meeting, and first of all, thank you to Paul Lockhart, who served as the chair for the past year. They did elect a new chair at that meeting, Steve Meyer, so that was fun to witness. Also, we had a presentation from Monica Stiglich, who is an Oakdale resident, about the 3M settlement, Priority 2 in particular, in which there's $20 million of revenue between a number of different cities and municipalities that they have access to, specifically towards rehabilitating the environment, access to fish and wildlife, trails. So it was a very informational presentation, and it was a good meeting overall.
Thank you, Councilmember Morcomb. Finally, Tree Board. I'm the liaison for that group for the time being, and they did not meet either. Nothing under award of bid tonight, so we will move on to staff reports. Community Development has an item, so I believe City Planner McClanahan will be joining us again. Please take it away.
Thank you. So, if we can bring this up on the screen, the location of this site is near Interstate 94, and more specifically, this site is on the east side of Helmo Avenue. This is a site plan amendment, so if we go back in terms of the timeline for the site, this is Norhart Apartments. The initial site plan was approved back in March of last year. The site plan was then amended in June of last year. So this site is currently under construction. It's hard to miss the construction that's going on if you've been anywhere near this area. It's for a 328-unit apartment with first floor commercial uses. And the purpose for this site plan amendment is to obtain the council's approval for several deviations from the site plan. So these deviations include encroachments into the right-of-way for patios that will serve the coffee shop and the restaurant there, as well as stairs and a ramp. The removal of one tree from the southwest corner for the proposed patio, the restaurant patio, and to also improve the visibility of signage for the site. Reduce the number of parking of underground spaces by 6 due to necessary mechanical equipment and also for access reasons. Additional signage, which is essentially a signage package for this site. And there is some redesign of exterior amenities for this apartment multifamily mixed-use development. Mainly that is relocating the rooftop pool to the 3rd floor due to structural constraints. So I mentioned a little bit about the timeline of events that have occurred. So the most recent amendment back in June of last year was for a reduction in the, an increase in the number of dwelling units to bring it from 321 to 328. They reduced some parking spaces and removed a proposed underground tunnel. So as the building plans have been prepared for this site, there have been modifications, and again, the rooftop pool, that was modified. Before construction continues to progress, staff wants to ensure that the City Council is comfortable with the proposed changes. So here's a look at the updated site plan. Apologize, it is very difficult to see on the screen here. But again, we're on the east side of Helmo Avenue. You will see that there are encroachments, and the next image really shows those encroachments a lot better. But several encroachments into the right-of-way. The applicant is proposing to utilize the city-owned outlot to the north for staging of construction materials and equipment. And also, you'll see that there's temporary surface parking for about 118 spaces, and that was previously approved. So this is a look at the updated rendering of the site. So this is looking at the west side of the building, so along Helmo Avenue. And again, this is helpful in terms of understanding what the encroachments will look like, what this overall site will look like. So on the left-hand side of the screen is the proposed patio for the coffee shop. You can see the stairs and then the ramp here towards the center. And then on the right side is the patio for the restaurant. The signage for this site, so you'll see that the Norhart letter, or the name on the top area here where previously they had proposed a rooftop pool. The Norhart logo here in the bottom right. And also numbers for the address, and also the coffee lab name here. Blade signage, which our ordinance doesn't contemplate either, is something that the applicant is seeking approval for. Now I can get into the dimensions of those proposed encroachments if needed. But just a few more renderings here to show, just to give you an idea of what this will look like. So this is a look at the courtyard from the east roof. And this is an overhead look at the pool, again on the 3rd floor. Here's another look at the pool. This is a nighttime visual. And this is the rooftop garden, so in lieu of having the pool there. So in closing, staff finds that the deviations, they are appropriate for the reasons listed in the staff report, subject to certain conditions, and those conditions are listed in the resolution. I'll just summarize them here. So no staging of construction equipment and materials on the city-owned outlot to the north. The developer obtained a permit for right-of-way encroachments, and the developer plant one tree elsewhere on the site to account for the tree not being planted in the southwest corner. The developer is here in attendance if you have any questions. Otherwise, staff is happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Council members, any questions for Luke right off the bat?
Well, actually, I had one. I know I'm new to the council here, but these are substantial changes, and from what I understand, the architect had changed midway through this process. This is partly why these changes came about.
So, yes, and the developer could speak to that a little bit more, but they're on their 3rd architect at this time.
Architect. Okay, I just think it'd be helpful to understand why that is, if this is going to bring more changes forward to the council.
Hi, I'm Marie Dickover. I work with Norhart as Chief Development Officer. Address is 1081 4th Street Southwest in Forest Lake. So we changed architects just due to mostly culture clash. So we changed from the first one to the second one for that reason. We do have the changes to design were not really based on that shift in architecture, but more of, I guess, the signage is based on branding strategy from our marketing folks.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No other questions?
I have a question for Luke. So with this change in parking, or available parking, I go back to a concern I had when we first talked about this project. I'm not entirely sure how it got resolved. So in order to meet correct me if I'm wrong, in order to meet the required parking minimums, a credit essentially is being given on the R6 parcel to the south, and it's being viewed as temporary parking. What mechanism do we have in place to ensure that, that will remain? I mean, or could the developer sell that parcel and there be no parking? I mean, what backstops does the city have in place to ensure that when R6, that parcel gets developed, there's going to be enough parking at that site to meet the minimums on the parcel to the north, as well as support whatever development is at that parcel? Because currently, we're nowhere close.
No, that's a good question, and there's actually language in the development agreement for this site that is recorded with the county. I wish I could take credit for writing that, but I didn't. And it essentially says that that parking on the R6 parcel, so the parcel to the south, has to be preserved unless if that site ever develops, then the parking will have to be accounted for at that time, if that makes sense. So yes, we do have a protection in place through the development agreement.
Got it. So if a building goes up on R6, there has to be enough additional parking in that structure to support the deficit from R5 as well as the units on R6.
That's correct.
Got it. Okay. Council members, any other questions? I will look for a motion.
I'm trying to find it.
I can make a motion to waive reading and adopt Resolution 2023-29, approving the amended site plan for Norhart Apartments with conditions included in the attached resolution.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any final thoughts? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that site plan amendment is approved. Next up, let's do a little check-in with our city attorney, Jim Thompson.
Mr. Mayor, nothing specific to report, but happy to answer questions today.
Any questions for the city attorney? Seeing none? All right. Administrators report. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. I just have one item on the agenda, but two actions. I'm requesting two resolutions. The first one is about, this is a year-end process that we do, and it results from GASB 54, which is a government accounting standards practice 54, which says if you have extra money at the end of the year from your current budget, you can commit funds that haven't been spent but were planned to be spent, or alternatively, you can commit funds that you need if it goes through the approval process of the council, in summary. The idea behind this for us in Oakdale is these are either projects or expenses that were committed in '22, just didn't get done, or there's a couple that we are trying to alleviate that we knew we were going to request next year in the '24 budget. So if we do it early, we don't have to request, thus saving the levy and the increase for next year. And so we're proposing that we use the current funds, some of the current, not all of the current funds available to take those actions. And you've got two resolutions in front of you. One is to amend the budgets for the uncompleted 22 projects, right? And then the other one is to commit the fund balances for the 22 the list of 22 expenses there. So all the balance sheets and the financial statements will match. So that is what is before you.
Council members, any questions for City Administrator Volkers? Let's take those separately. I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to waive reading and adopt Resolution 2023-30, amending the 2022 and 2023 budgets for uncompleted 2022 projects and specific items.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is adopted. I will look for a second motion.
I will make a motion to waive reading and adopt Resolution 2023-31, committing fund balances for 2022 financial statement purposes.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Conversation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is adopted as well. Council presentations. Does anybody want to go first?
Nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
Well, I'm just going to say that as a Scoutmaster, I believe in the scouting program, Girl Scouts and Scouts BSA, and they are an asset to our community. So I want to thank our resident Becca who came in to speak to the council to let her know that she's engaged in her community.
Thank you.
And I like the shirts, too.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I got a few, quite a few from staff, so I will just rattle right through these. Our second to last indoor market of the season will be held at the Discovery Center this Saturday, March 4th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I was up there at the last one and I bought way too much, so lots of great stuff up there. Also some local businesses that you can stop by and chat with. So please pop on up to 4444 Hadley and visit with them and buy some stuff this Saturday. An announcement for residents. Beginning on Tuesday, March 7th, a portion of 4th Street North will be closed for utility work from Hayward Avenue to 4th Street Lane. This is just west of Helmo Avenue in the southern part of the city. This closure is expected to last for 2 to 3 weeks. Utility companies will be relocating some gas mains as part of the Gold Line BRT project. So there's more information on the city website as well as our social media indicating the closure as well as the detour. So please feel free to check that out. Metro Transit will be hosting a Gold Line BRT construction open house on Thursday, March 16th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Grace of God Lutheran Church at 420 Hayward Avenue North. There won't be a formal presentation. It is an open house style type event, but it's a good opportunity to chat with Metro Transit about the project as well as how it'll be interacting with the community. So for more information about that, visit Metro Transit's website, metrotransit.org. With the recent snowfall, there is plenty of material for the Recreation Department's Snow Sculpture Contest. The theme this year is Upside Down Snowman, and sculptures will be judged based on appearance relative to the theme. So get those creative juices flowing and go play in the snow and get those submissions in by March 31st. You can submit a photo of your sculpture. More information on oakdalemn.gov. A really cool piece of recognition. One of our very own police detectives, Wayne Hager, was honored by the Minnesota Wild last week as their community hero of the game. Detective Hager does so much for this community and the region, you know, partnering with neighboring jurisdictions. So this was a very well-deserved honor for Detective Hager, so congratulations. Finally, a thank you to our Public Works Department. They were incredibly busy last week with the 15.5 inches of snowfall. And I'm sure my colleagues also got compliments from our residents, heard nothing but positive things. So, you know, we know it is not easy when you have snow events that are multiple days. It can be very challenging, but a tremendous thank you to Public Works Manager Jim Romanek and his crews on keeping our streets and our trails clear in really what felt like record time. So we know that is not easy. That's all I got. Let's pay the bills. Claims. Claims period February 15th through February 28th. Council members, can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve claims as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills are paid. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And we are adjourned for the evening. Thank you and good night.